Good early morning, Bob from Fly Fishing Mythbusters. And it's time I credited some people for just pointing me the way to figure out the issues that I was having with fly fishing. And the first guy I got to credit is Andy Puyans. And Andy was the guy who gave me my first tying lesson. I consider him the greatest tyer in my generation. And unfortunately, Andy wasn't alive when the internet was really going strong. But he had a saying, especially if you started a new pattern and you were looking at new materials, and he would say, never take any shit from your materials. And what he meant by that was you had to plow through with those micro fibbits or those biots or any of that stuff, because if you didn't, right, that whole section of patterns, right, would be lost to you. So thank you, Andy. I miss you, buddy. And so I'm going to follow my adjustable yarn indicator system, and we're going to start with the stop. So that is a piece of Dacron, which is fly line backing, put on with a nail knot. And I got the idea from Joe in Red's Fly Shop, because there's probably a decade's worth of Joe saying, hey, I'm trying this and whatever. So he's not taking any shit from his materials. He's persevering. And he was having, well, everybody has trouble with thingamabobbers. They kink your leader. I used to tangle them like crazy. I've only owned one, and I was glad when I lost it. But Joe is taking old fly line, and there we are, the nail knot tool. You guys know I'm big on this. I make all sorts of stuff with this. And he made stops with the fly line so that thingamabobber with the big, stupid metal grommet, right, could be slid up and down. And so I credited him for putting me on to the idea of Dacron stops. Okay, let's come now to the indicator itself. So I watched a video of Gary LaFontaine, and he was fishing yarn indicators, and he was fishing wool. And he put this big old glommy thing on, and sure enough, that kinked the leader too. But the idea of fishing wool, or fishing yarn, really, was very appealing to me. And so I was looking at other people's way of going about it, and this is Bonnie Braid 4mm, and I don't know what the millimeter stands for. I think I don't know. And you can buy it at, Hobby Lobby or whatever, and it is macrame yarn. And so there's a guy out there, and now apparently you can buy kits at some fly shop somewhere. And what he would do he would tease out strands, put them in a vise, tie them into bow ties, and then on the water, he would put in little rubber bands. Well, all that has been replaced, of course, thank you, Joe, by Dacron stops. And the key thing for me was when I looked at, I'm not going to do this right, but there is a hole that I melted in that. When I looked at the yarn itself, it said heat fusible. And, I'm a retired chemist. I went, heat fusible? Why would you fuse this yarn? And of course, the macrame people would know right away. Well, you melt one end to another color, right? And that's how you transition. Because once you melt this stuff, you can stick it together, right? But more importantly, you can crush it with a pair of pliers, right? And now you have an indicator that is really just a single material, right? It's just this yarn. And so I tie these sections 3 feet don't put anything on the end. And then I store them. And when I want to build the leader with an indicator that I can adjust, I just get one out. And then finally, the last invention involved here, you want to tie it in, especially on top, right, where you got a butt section, you need a knot. And of course, the knot we're all using, right, is the triple nurse's knot. 1, 2, 3. Put the little loop through the big loop. And so there we go. Innovation at its finest. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.